And I think it's live. I always say that because YouTube doesn't make it as easy as I'd like them to. But welcome to Vlog Thursday number... That's weird. It's not on the live stream. I don't know what number it is now. I guess I have to look at the thumbnail. Is that how this works? Oh, man. Hold on. I'm actually very curious now. Where does it have the settings? 466. There we go. Vlog Thursday, 466. We're going to talk about Immich. We're going to talk about automation. I might talk a little bit about N8N, not just automation, but N8N is kind of popular. I've built some stuff. Me and Matt have been playing with it and built some interesting things to help monitor TrueNAS. So I figured I have some videos upcoming on it. So it seems like a topic worth asking some questions on. And the Immich stuff, we're probably going to jump into first. You know, the usual Q&A, I'll take whatever questions and we can wander around on topics. I've also fixed a couple things. Move my microphone over. I don't even know why I bothered with this camera. This is way better view when we go over to this view. We're going to drag a few windows over here. Let me pop the chat out. So I'm going to put it on this screen. And I'm actually going to get it right from the first time. I'm going to put it on the proper chat. And I did this so I can automate moving me around. I also noticed this camera's decided to fight me on focus a little bit. I'm not really sure why. I think it likes the thing in the back there better. It likes it better than me. I don't know. It's kind of strange. But that's the thing. That happens. That's life. Hello, Tom, and what is the background with all the stickers? This is my old faceplate to my old server that was in my old office, and I didn't know what to do with it, so it's there, and I kind of like it there. It's kind of just something novel. It had lights in it and that, so I added just a couple more lights and added it to my Home Assistant setup, so yes. Let's see here. Oh, you're looking for a new video because of passing VLANs through. You know, it's not that big of a deal in UniFi to do it. I've thought about doing a video and I'm going to do some new, like, getting started with UniFi videos because so much has changed since they come to the 10.0 version. But I got to move over a little. I hate when the camera loses focus. There we go. I think I'm in focus. Is it hunting the focus? I feel like it's hunting a little bit. That's what we call that, is where it kind of jumps around. I don't know. Keep an eye on it. Watching you, camera. Anyways, it's easy on UniFi to create the VLANs and have them pass through all the switches. A little bit more complicated when you have other switches in the mix, and frequently, from consulting I do, that is a challenge people have created for themselves, if you will. Everyone loves, and as I do, like a nice homogenized environment, but that's not always what you deal with in the real world. Therefore, there's always like the things you have to deal with. I didn't mean to make that big. Can we just make the text? There we go. Make it a little bigger. Change a little size on this YouTube thing. There we go. Make it a little easier for people to read. But Immich. A few questions I wanted to answer right away. There's a lot of repeated questions in the YouTube comments, and a lot of people seem super concerned that Immich is locking them in, and I don't really see it that way. People don't like this folder structure it uses, and that's first, customizable, second, optional. I talked about the external libraries, so I don't really feel Immich locks you in. Now, where I guess you can call it locked in, but I don't think it's, once again, that much of a problem. It stores it in a Postgres database when you add extra context to the photos. I don't know that there's a universal standard by which we can export data out of photos. It's a challenge for sure. And for example, Google adds a JSON file with the extra information in it. So if you do Google Takeout, you have that file next to it with the same name. And someone did make a utility, as I pointed out, that allows you to gather that data, reassemble it, and put it in a Postgres database. But I don't really see that as locking you in, because it's not like there's a universal format by which they can store the data. So, I mean, it's open source. That's not weird where they're putting any of the data. Man, this camera is just about to put this thing on manual focus here. So it is just like, woo. But nonetheless, the lock-in part seems to be a really big concern. And I think that's fair to bring it up, but I don't know like how to address it as easily other than it's really not locked in. It's structuring it in a way that the defaults I followed structured it, but you can customize it. You can use external libraries, so you can use your own. You can set those libraries to scan. In beta is a real-time watch feature, or you can just manually scan every time you add photos to the library. But overall, I would say Immich, and just like PhotoPrism or any other ones out there. Now, I looked at PhotoPrism a while ago, and from reading, I just didn't think and still don't think PhotoPrism has the best. I don't think they have good apps for syncing on the phone. So why I chose Immich over PhotoPrism, and I don't know if this needs to be a separate video, was Immich has multiple users on it, seems to be under very active development with a lot of community support, and also has really good phone apps. Those are pretty good combinations because most of the pictures I take are with my phone. I do sometimes take pictures with cameras other than my phone, but the phone is probably what the majority of the average people use. Now, I know some people don't like Immich because it doesn't have good RAW support, is what I was told, and it's not an editing tool, and I get that. It's not a professional photography tool. It's a tool for the average person who says, you know what, I don't necessarily want to put all my stuff in the cloud, and I want to have some control of it. I want to be able to have it here locally and sync my phone to it, maybe have several of my family members or friends on my same server that I share photos with using it at the same time and easily allowing us to collaborate on those photos. That is a strong set of features. It's going to be hard to compete with the trillion-dollar Google company, but I think they do a pretty good job of being able to build a really workable tool with the reasonable features that still seem to be under active development. If those of you that are wondering, is there more coming in the future? And yeah, I don't think Immich is stopping here. They have a roadmap of more stuff they're going to do. Matter of fact, that's another thing I like is the fact that they have a clear roadmap of where they've been, where they are today, and where they plan on going in the future. I appreciate companies that kind of lay things out for you about how they're going. So overall, I'm going to say I'm pretty happy with Immich, and I just didn't see any of the other competitors out there that were quite as viable as Immich in terms of features. But I will mention, there was another one. It eludes me. Someone will post it in the comments. There is one that there's a photo privacy company, and I think they actually reached out to me once or something wanting to sponsor. I've never said yes to them or anything like that. But there's been a couple of these companies that like encrypt first before they send. And I think that's kind of neat. And they offer something that's probably easier for the less technical crowd. I had people ask about it. I'm like, I wouldn't use it myself. I like self-hosting. I know there's other options out there that might be privacy oriented and well-meaning, but they're just to use their cloud service. And for someone who doesn't know how to self-host something, yeah, that's probably going to be a better option. I'm more technical, and I'm not here, so to speak, to specifically talk about products that are for the 99% of the world. I generally lean into a more technical audience of people who self-host. So that's one of the reasons I kind of choose that. Let's catch up in the comments here. I have Immich running, but I should probably change it so it stores photos on the NAS, I guess. That's where I prefer to have him. Making a work presentation where I ask more responsibility, cracking down on Wi-Fi, showing how I can fix things. Want to know if you have any ideas? Things cracking down on the Wi-Fi. Is there too many things on the Wi-Fi? I guess I need to know what, I mean, you're suggesting people have less things or separate Wi-Fi. Separate Wi-Fi is usually what people go for. And also, I mean, it's usually not work's responsibility for all your random things. But that depends on where you work. If you work at a medical place, my friend, he told me it was all the time the doctors wanting to put whatever random thing they brought into the office. Hey, why can't I connect my insert random device I've brought to the things on the network? Lock-in is that the photos get separated from the app and all the data is lost and doesn't transfer to whatever the app next thing is, yeah, but there's not a universal way to do it. And you could, I mean, it's all in Postgres. So I don't see it exactly as lock-in. It's one of those, it's adding the metadata that it pulls from EXIF. There's step one. It does group them into albums. That's an option, and that's all in the Postgres database. But how would you export that data out? What is the format you would export it to that would be compatible? Matter of fact, if someone wants to write an Immich competitor, what they should do if they want to compete with Immich and make a better product that you may want to use is write an import tool, because Immich is open source. You can reach in that Postgres database, pull that data out, and move it somewhere else. Matter of fact, if someone wanted to write a competitor, they might even start by forking Immich. So I don't really see it as a lock-in per se. Yeah, I seen a few people asking about the Nextcloud. Nextcloud is not like an image first program. Nextcloud is a good tool, but it's something that they bolted on, I feel, like the image management. It's not as nice as Immich itself. Immich is a dedicated to the task photo management tool. Oh, cracking Wi-Fi passwords? I mean, yeah, if they're really short, they can be cracked. So tell them to use longer ones. I don't know. There are tools out there that can do Wi-Fi cracking. See, you could demo like, this is our password. This is how long it would take to crack it. Deploying Immich. I don't know if I should install SSD in my TrueNAS since Immich we use as a DB. You know, even with spinning Rust drives, it's still fast. This is where people really overthink it. I mean, granted, if you're getting up in that 100,000 plus photos, yeah, it might be a little slower. So I can't necessarily say you shouldn't use SSD. And I have set up an array with multiple VDEVs, one of my larger systems. So it's really fast, even on HDD, but I've also only got about just under 60,000 photos. It's not taxing to Immich. But if you're running more than that, you know, I've had people mention, and I mean, I'm not validating this, I just know people have commented about the 100,000+ photos they have. Yeah, it might require faster access. But honestly, 100,000 entries in Postgres is not that, it's not that many. It's not too taxing. So yes, you caught the live stream. Yes, I'm live. Are your clients asking for RP agentic process operations with some AI integrations? It varies. It's not like there's a easy answer for that question. Especially, I have different clientele than the average person. So is the average small business asking for it? No, you sometimes have to tell them about it. Not that I haven't met some really brilliant small business people that built really cool process automation tools. So exciting that it works. I've seen people definitely that surprised me that how well adept they were at doing that, because they don't have a technology background, and that's awesome. You know, they built using whatever tools, social media, automations and things like that. But everything's a case-by-case basis. I happen to have often very tech-savvy internal IT teams that are reaching out to me for help with something, so it's a little different than the average. So when I say my customers are a broad range of mostly people who watch this YouTube channel and are asking more technical questions. So yeah, and if I do a video about a topic, like I have some N8N videos coming up, that immediately will then have people asking about it and customers coming to it, which is fine. Yeah, I've heard people tell me they don't like the Memories app very well with that, but I haven't used Nextcloud in a while, so I really can't speak to it. Yeah, if you're running Immich in a VM, not great, because you don't want to stuff all your storage into a virtual machine. Can I keep the same folder structure if I install Immich on my TrueNAS? I mean, same folder structure as you had it as not on TrueNAS. Yeah, the Immich sets the structure, not TrueNAS. Do you play with Claude Code, Gemini Code? What is your go-to? Probably ChatGPT. I don't code though, so I'm not really. I don't write a lot of code. That's probably the easiest way to just answer that one. I'm not a big part of my day is writing code. I'm fine using the abilities of ChatGPT to pull code enough code for me together. I'm not writing applications. Can you clarify if Immich uses existing NAS share folders to look up files, or does it need an import into the Docker image? You have to mount the external folders in Docker. I do cover that in my setup video for Immich that you need to do that. I covered in my TrueNAS one, but you'll have to. Techno Tim covers it, I believe, in his video as well. So and I've linked to that in my Immich setup videos. So yes, you have to map it inside the Docker to say this is where those external libraries are. Nextcloud feels too slow and unreliable. That's one of the reasons I don't like Nextcloud much, is I found it buggy, and it's been a little while since I used it, and someone can tell me, but it's improved, and they may be right. But I've also found every time I updated it, it broke something and wasted a bunch of my time. And then people told me I'm setting it up wrong. And I'm like, I don't know. I followed the Docker instructions and I don't know why the update broke. And then I would find something I had to do to fix it because it didn't finish converting from the old version to the new version, some database schema change or something. I don't know. Maybe it's gotten a lot better. And I will admit, it's probably been a year since I tried Nextcloud. Maybe I should give it another go. You should always separate your compute from your storage. Always a great idea whenever possible. Hey, Eric, how's it going? Wish there was a way to push a key and use from a remote VM. But I can pull up. And this is where my fanciness comes in. Look at that. I can put myself right over here. But I'm building this with N8N. This is my checking of 3 TrueNAS systems. This will be the video I work on. Now, first video is going to be how to get N8N set up. So I'll cover that. And after I have the N8N setup video, I'll make a video on how these automations work. And this is actually kind of clever. You can, and I will zoom in a little bit here. This is all using the TrueNAS API system over SSH. So I SSH into one of my TrueNASes. I'm able to call like replication query. I'm able to take that output and parse it and build workflows that allow me to pull in all the different JSON output, split that output, figure out what's successful, what's not, merge it. I'm sending it all to email, but of course, if you're familiar at all with N8N, you'll know you can send this to whatever you want. Oh, I might even play around and make some silly ones where the output will let me know if there's a problem with my TrueNAS by changing the color of a light bulb in my Home Assistant or turning a light on or something silly just to make it funny to like, hey, your TrueNAS has a problem. But I'm doing this for, I'm figured TrueNAS is a fun one where I do update reports for the applications. And it can watch my TrueNASes because I have several of them. And this is a way I can tie it together with all of my TrueNAS systems to get alerts, check all the disks, do everything. And then I can run all these workflows, group them together and have a report once a day sent or whenever I want it sent. Or I can have it run on automation and keep watching these every so often to see if there's any problems or there's something I need to address. The bigger one for me is I don't think TrueNAS has ever done a great job in the back end of it is this one here. I want to know if all the jobs are successful or not. And I don't want to just have it fire off one random email, and I want a little bit more. So we're actually pulling some of the log data. We're parsing some of the error messages if there is any. So by the time it gets to me, I have all the information I want on how this works. And I think that's just a better way to gather all that information. For your image Docker Compose, I have the NFS volume mounted in a volume YAML configuration. Works well. Yes. Living a dream. That's what I like to hear, Eric. How did you display that last grab? Any thoughts on Unraid? I think Unraid is novel. I don't use it. I feel like it's the stepping stone. It's probably easier to get going than TrueNAS, and it has been around for a minute, so it's got good support for all the applications in it. And I think the applications I've been told are easier to set up than TrueNAS, which is great. So if you like it, use it. The problem is Unraid doesn't scale to the higher end levels that TrueNAS does. So eventually people seem to outgrow their Unraid system and move over to TrueNAS. That's how I see it, but there's people who don't outgrow it and they just go, Unraid is easy and I like it and I plan to continue using it. 2 thumbs up. I don't know anything bad about it. I just know it's not as extensible in feature-wise as TrueNAS, therefore I stay with TrueNAS. Basically, for me to use it would be having lesser features, so there's not much interest I have in using it. I just stick with TrueNAS. There's plenty of other people who cover Unraid. Does DRAM, anytime if you're speaking of ZFS, more RAM is more places for it to hold the data. Therefore, that's generally a good thing because the more caching you do is good for speed because RAM is faster than hard drives. RAM is faster than NVMe. So if you're just asking, is more RAM better? Yes. I've got videos where I dive deep into why it's better or what circumstances it's much better in than others. With N8N, you can have LLM do the analysis and output, true or false. If there's a problem, then send it to Home Assistant and Webhook. Yeah. So I am not going to start out with LLMs on a lot of stuff. I know it's like the hotness and everyone's like, let's do some silly thing with LLMs, but LLMs have a lot of inaccuracy problems. And I'm looking to first, in N8N prior to the craze of LLMs, they had a lot of cool workflows. And this is where my focus is, very tangible. These are binary answers. When there's a problem, there's an answer as to why that problem occurred. Replication did not occur in ZFS because it did not reach the other server. It timed out. These are defined answers. I don't need an LLM to make up something because the problem with LLMs is they're non-deterministic. That can be helpful. They're great for troubleshooting, and hell, they did a good job of reading the docs and writing a couple of parsers that were helpful in building different automations. But they also gave me some really bad information. So you just have to face the reality of it. So when you have a non-deterministic system and I have a deterministic problem, I don't always want the non-deterministic system making noise in my deterministic workflow. I'm sure Network Chuck has probably done a few videos on N8N. How's my Mac OS journey? Been smooth. DaVinci Resolve works great. I've never used Final Cut and I have no intentions to start. I've always used DaVinci Resolve, so. I can see Unraid getting more popular if storage prices keep rising. I don't know. NAS is popular in general. I don't think that, especially with one of the things you're seeing is a lot more development in ZFS. AnyRAID is coming to ZFS. So as AnyRAID becomes popular, it allows you to use mix and match drives. I think it's definitely going to make ZFS that much more popular. Is it okay to fill ZFS drives to around 90%? Well, if it's just movies, what you run into is as you keep writing and as the ZFS drive gets full, it can't just write the 1 terabyte or whatever size of movie. It may have to start breaking it up. So you start having dramatically decreased performance. So it's not that it's impossible to run something at 90%, but as you get to these really high percentages full on ZFS, you really start suffering on performance because it starts breaking the file up. But it may work fine for like movies, and it may not be something that impacts you as bad because it takes less than most people assume to stream a movie off drives. Won't any raid make unraid kind of pointless? I don't know about pointless, but it certainly is one of the, being able to mix a hodgepodge of hard drives makes people really like unraid. And ZFS has stricter rules on it, but that's also how you get the performance out of ZFS is following those stricter rules. You get very clear performance and integrity out of the system. That's one of the things in why even myself, I trusted ZFS for so long. I know how it performs. I trust the integrity of the data on there. It's just been a bulletproof system for a very long time. I'm also of the ain't broke, don't fix it crowd. So if you are using Unraid and you have not hit a limitation that makes you unhappy with Unraid, keep using Unraid. If you aren't having issues, if you're bored and you want to do something different, that's obviously more of a choice, but yeah, you can switch over. But if you are happy with the way the system works and you're going, Unraid does everything I want, Tom, why would I use ZFS? Well, if it does everything you want, then keep using it. It doesn't do everything I want. That's why I don't use it. Do I virtualize my TrueNAS? Not at all. I always prefer my TrueNAS systems to run on bare metal hardware. That is my preference for them. I've talked about this. I've got a video on the pros and cons. It's not that you can't. It's just you have to be careful if you do. And most of the time, it seems like people's first endeavor with TrueNAS is let's virtualize it. And then they give themselves a really bad experience because there's caveats to virtualizing TrueNAS. So lots of challenges. Kind of back to this, one of the things I really like, this worked quite well. The TrueNAS systems, I'm using a dedicated N8N account on them. I do like the way these are made. Let me log into one of them. I can't remember when this is added, but I think it's in the 25 series. This is a great feature, though. You can build a read-only admin. So all this workflows I'm building with N8N allows me to have read-only access. So you drop in the public key right here. I have an N8N account. I'm going to cover all this. See, I'm going to do first my how to get started with N8N video. Then I'll dive much deeper into how to build all of this. That way people understand all the different workflow things of how do you do this? How do you set this up in TrueNAS? How do you have it without being a security risk? Because this is a system when I'm done, you'll be able to do this. But if, well, let's say the worst case scenario, someone compromises the N8N account, would they be able to use that control to destroy your systems? Well, no, these are set up with read-only admin permission. So you've got a relatively locked down, narrow scope. It's able to read all the data out of TrueNAS, which, I mean, that may be a concern as well. So if someone were getting your N8N and they were lifting your credentials out, yeah, that would suck. And they would have read access to a lot of things, but read access isn't as bad as they destroyed all your data. So I really like the way they've, built some permission systems in here for control. And they've got a sharing admin, a full admin, or read-only. I'm doing all of this inside of N8N with read-only accounts. And to me, that's just the better way to do it. So for those of you who didn't know, you can do that inside of TrueNAS. How is the WinVM in TrueNAS? I don't even like running virtual machines in TrueNAS. They are okay. TrueNAS is not a virtualization platform. TrueNAS is a NAS with virtualization kind of bolted on. Sorry, developers, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus or anything that built that. I still love the product, but I wouldn't, outside of basic function, I would say, I wouldn't really use TrueNAS for virtualization. Could you tie N8N and event-driven Ansible to automate triage and basic repair? I mean, I don't even know if you need Ansible. I just happen to be outputting this, and because it's a read-only account, I'm read-onlying out of TrueNAS and not doing anything. But absolutely, I could trigger it to do a read-write account and say, hey, this application says it's not updated. Run the updates. That is something that can absolutely be done inside of here. So here is like the app call. This right here calls to see if there's, let me execute. I think this one needs an update. So let's run this. There we go. Hey, look, there's two things in the output that need updating. I could easily pipe this in, put this in JSON, make it a little easier to read. I could pipe this in to the next step being, go update those apps. But because this is a read-only key, it can't update the apps. So I'm only doing it as a read-only. But yeah, you can. And like I said, you don't necessarily need Ansible for this. N8N, you could build workflows and automations in there. Yeah, I mean, my challenge I see sometimes, and it just comes on experience. I have been adminning systems for 20 years, so I think about things from a very secure standpoint. I say non-deterministic versus deterministic. I'm not telling you not to use AI, but sometimes you just want a workflow that says, is the system up to date? Let me know. Maybe you want to manually do it. And then I can let people take it further. Maybe you want to automate it going, hey, find apps that are not updated and update those apps. And maybe you want read-write access, as long as you know the consequences and challenges of it. And if you're managing things and your task in life is to manage a lot of systems and then update them, yeah, maybe you have a credential that you have some extra step. So it's less automated, but like forces you to type a password before it actually does the action. I look at things from that standpoint of, first, you got to play out that worst case scenario of, what if all this went wrong? Would you want your junior admins to have access to the update button, or would you want to review it? And maybe you start with, let's get all the data we need, and then we have another pipeline, but that pipeline has some type of kill switch in it that someone has to touch, and that someone is authorized to touch to say, yes, go ahead and follow through with those other actions. So there's just different ways of thinking about it. Yeah, me and Jeff both say TrueNAS sucks as a hyper. Oh yeah, once you've used Proxmox or XCP-ng as your hypervisor, either one of those, they are they're dedicated applications for this. So they're far better than your TrueNAS as that. So yeah. I bought a few refurbished hard drives, and UNAS Pro, really didn't like them. I moved on, but what can I do to see if these drives are really toast or not? I mean, you can run the smart control. You could see what errors, if any, is on them. You could write a bunch of data to the drives and see how they perform. Generally speaking, because this is the whole smart argument with your NAS. Smart's not that smart. So write data to the drives, see if they work or don't work. That's generally, I have a few drives that pass smart all day, but I know they're problematic because they're sitting over there with a marker I wrote on it that says weird problems. I keep playing with them once in a while because I think they're kind of fun. And if I want to, I might do a demo at some point, like, hey, how to solve hard drive problems. Let me put these ones in. They create problems completely on their own. Just you start writing data and it just stops sometimes. You have a terabyte of RAM and 96 cores. What would you do? I have no idea. I don't know what you want to do. I know what or you're asking if I would do. I'd run Immich. I don't run that many things myself. I don't have, it comes down to really what's your use case. A lot of times I'm just labbing things out to show clients how things work. Obviously my TrueNAS is important to me because of all the videos I publish, but I guess I have a few things running here, but I don't need that many cores. As a matter of fact, what I'm looking at is reducing everything down to, I don't know, 10, 20 cores and running everything I have on there for lower wattage because I don't need all the stuff I have running. The more you still host, the more you think it makes sense to have an NAS just to be a dumb storage appliance. It depends. I think certain things, like I run on my TrueNAS sync thing. If it's a storage focused application, it's probably great, and sync thing's an easy example of this, to run it on your storage server. TrueNAS and Synology both support NFS. I think I've gotten slightly better performance, but this is really hard to say, out of TrueNAS, but you can't exactly compare TrueNAS to Synology when it comes to performance, because what TrueNAS are you comparing? TrueNAS is software. Synology is software plus hardware. I mean, yes, I know Xpanology exists. You can build your own, but let's say you're testing a Synology box. You have to have a TrueNAS box built of the same spec to really compare the performance of the two. Has a solar storm ever caused data loss for a client? You know, you don't always know if a bit is flipped, but that's potential. It could happen, but there's not always a good investigation to confirm that, yes, we know the solar storm hit at exactly the time this particular file wouldn't open in Word. So it's really not, it's not like we have easy tools to investigate it. Sometimes a file doesn't open, but sometimes a file doesn't open all the time. So am I correlating that with solar storms? Not really. So that one's, yeah, definitely. Solar storm, like I said, it's probably not where my head goes. I'm usually just thinking, because it's probably true, someone has goofed the file. That's why I could say it. That's almost always it's human error. Yeah, bit flip by solar storm sounds like a nice project. Yeah, the potential's there, but I don't think it's that big of a problem. SyncThing has a problem with versioning. I don't know. I don't have any problem with SyncThing and versioning. I think it works great for versioning. Like I said, I've been very happy with that. There we go. Live chat. When did that switch? I thought I switched it already back. But yeah, SyncThing, I don't know. I don't really have any issues with it. People keep using it in ways I suggest not to use it, though, especially when they keep pointing an SMB share at SyncThing. I'm like, you're going to have more problems. When you do something like that, you end up with usually permission errors and things like that. SyncThing is, think of it more like Dropbox, which is very much a cousin of, if you will, where it's a file synchronization tool. It's open source and you can self-host it, but it synchronizes this directory that is on my computer, not shared with 5 other people, to my NAS. And it saves it on my NAS, which is also not going to a share with other people or even me. It's synchronizing this data that I want kept locally. When you start adding in a bunch of permission problems from sharing it, it definitely is a more buggy tool. How's Joplin been? I love Joplin. The more I've used Joplin, the more I like Joplin. Let's see if I can drag some Joplin over here. I got to move it to something else on the screen here. There's something I can pull up here. I can pull up some of these. Drag it over here. Let me drag this out of here. But, I've been using Joplin just for a couple weeks now, and I am just really happy with how easy it is to use, how well it works. The little things about it have just been really nice. Where's probably this one? Yeah. This is the video I'm working on now. This is the Docker stuff. There's the demo link I have. Where's the other button I'm looking for? There we go. I like the previous versions of the note. Just kind of neat. Neat. I mean, it's a feature, but you can do this to see all the different versions I had as I was changing and making notes in the file. But I'm super happy with how well all this works. Like, it's been great. No problems at all. Markdown, or here's your standard editor. I'm going to do a video on Joplin. I'll talk about the Joplin server as well, as I'm using the Joplin sync server. I've even forced conflicts with it, and conflicts weren't even hard to fix. So I will go over conflict with it. If you edit the same note on two different systems when they're not in sync, it creates a conflict file that leaves it up to you to solve, but it's really not that big of a deal. I wouldn't say it's an issue at all. Currently work for an MSP with terrible security practices. The easiest example is the most common password they use is a combination of the street address and abbreviated name of the company. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Finding a competent employer. I wish you luck. There is no easy answer for that. Yeah, there's a lot of terrible MSPs. We have a lot of group discussions with several of my MSP friends about that, and we're trying to see what that number should be, but someone told me at least 80% of MSPs shouldn't exist. I used to think that was a lot. Now I don't think it's enough. So I don't have good answers on that. I wish you luck. Fog project. It's been around for a long time. I've used to do videos on fog forever ago. It's been a long time since I did a fog video. I just don't use it anymore, but I used to use it. I set it up for a big school system. It was how they redeployed all their images, but pretty neat project. Been years since I looked at it. Oh, so where and how do you sync the Joplin files? I'm using the Joplin server. There's a few different ways you can sync Joplin. I love the self-hosted Joplin server, and they do offer their own. If you don't want to set up your own Joplin server, you can use theirs as well, or you can just use file sync. You can use Google. You can use, I think Dropbox is in the list there too. So you can even use SyncThing. You got a couple different ways you could tie it together. I just chose to use the Joplin server so it's synced in a very sane way, and it works great. Now, I liked LogSeek, and I used it for a couple years, but man, Joplin, it's really caught up. When I remember using it a while ago, it just felt quirky. They have really polished it up. So overall, I'm super happy with Joplin. Do I use the WYSIWYG or the Markdown? So you can use either or, and let me just do this. So right here, I'm just, editing away with this. But of course I could switch to doing this all in Markdown if I want, or you can do split view. so you have all these different options. I remember they made this more awkward before. This way is less awkward now. So yeah, this way I can edit WYSIWYG and it works fine. And if I need to, because something, and I'll admit, WYSIWYG works pretty much all the time for me, but once in a while you'll get something, some little element that it won't work properly. It doesn't happen often, but usually when I'm copying, pasting in, I pasted something in I shouldn't have, and oops, it broke. So I love that I can just quickly switch to Markdown and solve my problem and switch back. So I like it. You know, and sometimes just the little things like this. So I can just copy these. This is me playing with some of the features for parsing and stuff like that. Being able to share these really quick. And by the way, if you have multiple users on it, you have the ability to share this. You can also export it, publish it, etc. If you publish it, it shows up on the Joplin server. I don't have that publicly exposed, so publishing it is, I mean, it works, but it's not publicly accessible. I don't have anyone else on my Joplin right now. Maybe I'll set Matt up on it if he wants to play with it, just so we can show the sharing. But I might do a demo where I just set up 2 profiles to show how the sharing works. I also like that I can just pop things open in another window. So if you want to have multiple windows open for things, and I think I can do multiple again. If I do this, we go back over here to the N8N notes. I can open that in a new window. Yeah. So I can do this. I can do this. So I can have multiple windows open where I'm editing each of these if I need to. So this is all features I don't remember it doing very well, and now it seems to do them very smooth. So my overall feelings in Joplin are it's great. Do you prefer to run iSCSI or NFS for VMs? If you use iSCSI, you have one big iSCSI dataset for a VM. I generally run NFS for VMs because it seems simpler. I can see all the files. I'm not dealing with a volume that I can't see inside of without being attached to the hypervisor or mounting it in some way to view the formatting of it. So generally I do NFS. Hey, Tom, interesting Immich fact. You can cluster Immich for load balancing between multiple machines. I did not know they had clustering. I'm unaware of how that works. So I don't if you want to message me on that, I didn't see anything about clustering in it. I don't hear you complaining about UniFi. I do when there's something to complain about. I complain still about the fact that they have incomplete WireGuard. You know, this was a stupid discussion that someone had. Someone just wanted me to do a hate video on it. I'm like, what do you want me to hate on them about? I mean, I don't like the fact that their WireGuard's incomplete. I don't know. Is that a rant video? Is it worthy of a rant? I've said it enough times. It's gotten better, but it still doesn't have routes in it. You can't add all the allowed and disallowed networks through the web UI, and I don't know why. It'd be great. Maybe it's on the roadmap. I've suggested it to them. At some point, I'm just beating the dead horse, and I don't know if they're going to fix it or not. But I don't know what else I'm supposed to complain about with UniFi. They are among the few companies seems to be giving people what they want, giving us a product. Now, I wish it was open source, so I guess I can complain about that too. But I want to celebrate companies who are actually going, hey, and this is something the CEO of UniFi said during the UniFi World Conference. One of his things he said, he goes, he likes the idea that people buy a product and own it. And the crowd cheered. It's sad that we have to cheer for that because we're so used to everything is we don't own anything. It is a subscription. It is locked until, you know, it's unlocked only until the subscription runs out. You must pay us to activate this, and please don't look under the hood of this product. And we're going to support it for some short amount of time and constantly raise the subscription price of it. The fact that UniFi is giving us a lot of things without these licenses is amazing. So, yeah, that's one reason. I mean, there's still complaints I have, but I don't bitch just to bitch. I bitch to enact change. I always said their firewall sucked, and because they did. They finally got firewalls that don't suck, and now I'm happy. Um, I think it's time we update the oh yeah, man. I forgot all about that. Um, I should redo that whole part of my site. I forgot about that part till you just brought it up. That's been dragged over from my old site, but it's definitely dated. I mostly have been focusing on things like the books and stuff like that, but yeah, I maybe you're right. I should probably say like what is Tom running or some of the other things on there and redo that whole site. I used to work for a good MSP over in MD. It was fun 18 months ago, but back to enterprise. That's where my experience and the money's better. Yeah. With roughly 50,000 MSPs or shops calling themselves MSP in the US, it's absolutely not sustainable. Um, I don't know that it's not sustainable because the reality is there are service professionals out there that own garages that are certified mechanics that I would probably and have taken my vehicles to for repair if I don't feel like doing it myself. There's no shortage of postings on probably Facebook Marketplace. Bring it over to my house and I'll fix your tires. So we haven't stopped the backyard mechanic. We haven't stopped the electrician that's not licensed or insured. And so is the way of the tech industry as well. You're always going to have those. I don't think we're going to necessarily solve that. Joplin is an open source note taking app. What is the best way to find local tech shows and seminars? I don't know. I generally learn from friends, reading, and maybe some promotion. Sometimes I don't even find out about them until later. So I don't have any good answer for that. I try to post and talk about them when they're relevant, but it's hard to find good industry events. Tom's using a Mac, been away for a while. Yeah, just for my editing and live streaming, I still have my Linux. I don't have a Linux desktop anymore because I just use Linux laptops. So I can't really say I'm using Linux on the desktop, or do I say I'm using Linux on the desktop on my laptop? I'll chew on that for a little while. I maybe nut server compatibility, but I would never expect Tailscale to be on UniFi. I don't see them supporting third parties. And why pick Tailscale? Why not pick an open source one like NetBird? Now you see the challenge. And once UniFi picks a favorite, why do they stay with that one? You know what I mean? What if that company gets sold and becomes a terrible company? Then do they spend time engineering to switch to another one? I mean, if you want to use any of them, honestly, I think the answer is the same answer I have. I use them behind the firewall as opposed to integrated in. It's novel when they're integrated in. I like that pfSense integrated in. I can't give you any good answers as to why things like NetBird aren't also in pfSense. I don't know why. It'd be cool if they were. It'd be cool if several other ones were integrated in a pfSense. They have a plugin ecosystem, but they don't really change much. So yeah. UniFi for many years did not implement a call kit on iOS, so the doorbell is just a notification, not a call like the other doorbells. I'm going to guess that's a challenge with the iOS system and getting that approved. That's a guess. Is UniFi enterprise grade in terms of hardware? That will be debated till the end of time because enterprise grade is a marketing term. It is not a technical term. The way you can tell if something's a marketing or technical term, take 10 technical people and have them write the definition of what they think enterprise grade is, and they will not give you all the same answers. There may be an overlap of answers, but enterprise grade is like saying military grade, or I don't know. I could probably fit a bunch of other things in here, but I think you get the idea. I do not run Plex. I prefer Jellyfin. So Jellyfin's my go-to. I run it on my TrueNAS. Since your updating, has your opinion of Proxmox versus XCP changed? So Proxmox now has their data center feature. The data center feature of Proxmox is pretty cool because it catches up with XCP-ng quite a bit. XCP-ng has worked for a long time, years and years and years, the way Proxmox data center is trying to add functionality. So it's not that I have an opinion change. It's people have a hard time understanding the history of the two products. Proxmox is lots of Homelab enthusiasts and building towards enterprise. XCP-ng is used far more than people seem to realize in the enterprise. I have been doing consulting on XCP-ng now for 7 years. Before that, it was Citrix. So they forked it, and right away we gained popularity from the Citrix version. Citrix was in the enterprise space, and the number of large companies that are moving over to XCP-ng back when they forked it in 2017, starting in 2018. I mean, it's been 7-8 years of me consulting, and I'm not consulting with home users. I'm consulting with large scale automotive, large publicly traded companies that are using XCP-ng, and people are like, no way. It's some new thing that no one uses, Tom. And I'm like, no, it's not popular in a home lab. It's enterprise coming down to become popular in a home lab versus Proxmox is home lab and building up to the enterprise. So it's not about opinions as much. And Proxmox still doesn't have the full same type of SLA agreement support that the enterprise companies expect. So I don't dislike Proxmox. It's, just a little bit different between the two of them. Both are good. I have no dislike or warnings to tell people not to run Proxmox. Proxmox, just like anything, has its quirks that you have to sort out and learn. But once you learn them and you get good at it, like my friends at 45 Drives are, you can offer support for it. Open source self-hosted SIEM that doesn't cost $1 bazillion. I think you're looking at Security Onion. That is a function it can perform. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. You can also use Wazoo. How do you want to say that? Waza or Wazoo? That works as well. Once again, running your own SIEM is not for the faint of heart. Let's see. I just switched my company from self-hosted NetBird with Entra IDP, and it's like how Tailscale nerfs ACLs the moment you pay for their lowest business tier. Interesting. You don't like the Android TV client. I'm using it on a Chromecast and it seems fine. I don't know. Maybe I don't overthink it. Or maybe it's different when I'm using it on a Chromecast. Weird. As a non-iOS user, I really don't know much about it. So interesting that UniFi has never got it right. They came from Apple. You would think they have some insight into doing it right, but maybe not. Do you have any tools that would suggest how to pare down file duplicates by some sort of hashing method? Not necessarily. I probably did some bash scripting in some point in time where I found duplicates that had the same hash and figured out a way to delete them, but it's not often that I run into that problem. Not often I run into the problem. The problem is presented to me from clients. It's not, I've always been organized the files because I've been working with technology for so long. I've never duplicated a ton of my data. So I'm presented with the problem occasionally, and I would probably just, hash a bunch of the files and figure out the hashes and delete the files that have the same hash. Please explain Jellyfin, a short version. It's like Plex, but open source. Jellyfin is a movie sharing application that you can run. you don't have to run on a NAS, but I prefer running on the NAS because that's where all my movies are. That I completely and totally legally own because I purchased the DVDs and exercise my right to copy them locally onto that NAS. The 10x, there is 10x the data center size next CPG than Proxmox. Nothing against Proxmox, but the depth is far bigger than the Homelab realizes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and Jellyfin was a fork of Emby. Yes. Are your new customers still choose pfSense? It's a mix. Some people have pfSense, some people have UniFi. I seems to be a lot of people moving to UniFi. I would say because they like the single pane of glass and they want some of the web. I don't love the web filtering. It's probably for me personally, the least used feature in UniFi, but I really like the single. I go to one interface for everything for UniFi. That is really nice. It just works really well. I don't have any dislike for pfSense. I think they do a nice job, but the ease of use that UniFi has baked into their firewalls, the zone rules and everything else, they've done a good job of it. And I see why so many people want to move there. It's like, I'm not driving the market. The market seems to be driving in that direction, because if you're managing a lot of firewalls, let me pull these up. Here's some of the sites. If you have a whole list of these that you have to manage, and as that list gets longer and longer for managing them, do you want to log into that many pfSense boxes to check for updates and things like that? So there's the central management is just really nice in UniFi, and it allows you to centrally manage and integrate with all the other products. So I see a lot of people going there because it's also pretty affordable. The UniFi ecosystem isn't more than pfSense. It's kind of the opposite. A lot of the stuff for the features you get is relatively well priced. So you're not going, man, I want that single pane of glass, but it's going to cost me so much more. It's actually less expensive. So there's a lot of reasons people, I think, are kind of moving in that direction. I really wish it was open source. I'm bothers me that I'm now using a non-open source firewall, but it is what it is. There's pfSense is one of the few holdouts left of open source firewalls. And I know there's OpenSense, but OpenSense, and I will trigger a bunch of people, it sets downstream from pfSense because so much code contribution to the BSD as related to firewalls still comes from the folks over at Netgate. It just is what it is. I've talked about that before, and it seems to bother people. I don't use, so I don't plan on making videos on Caddy. I just don't use. I looked at it and I like Nginx Proxy Manager. I know people really like Traffic. They really like Caddy. Feel free to use them. I can't tell you not to use them. I don't have a reason that I think they're bad. I just found them slightly more complex, and I thought Nginx Proxy Manager was just super simple, and I like the simplicity of it. Everyone likes the pretty pane of glass. Subnet routing was way easier to set up a network with a self-hosted network VPS. I couldn't get the Android client to authenticate. Cloud network worked fine. Yeah. People love debating. Now, I think Traffic seems rather popular because I feel like a lot of projects already have like predefined settings in their Docker for Traffic. And that's what you want, go for it. Yeah, if you're doing everything with Docker Compose, and once you take the time to learn Traffic and you learn that everything gets built with Docker Compose, and you just, every time you add a new Compose file, you're also adding it to Traffic, it seems simple enough. They do offer dynamic DNS inside of UniFi. Yeah, um, I think the original file for my N8N setup, like what they propose, I took it out because I'm not using it, but it has some, and it had some stuff for traffic in there. I think so. I don't know, but yep, this is the video. I got this video partly recorded. I'll probably have it finished tomorrow. Was this what video was this? Oh, yeah, me digging up software. I've also been digging around, um, trying to find a few things. Kind of bringing up another. Let me find it here. Hold on. This one. This has still been, I brought this up last week. This has been an ongoing challenge of trying to figure out some of these other systems and which ones are good. I realized that these two companies appear to use the same software, even though they have different names for it. So that's been kind of a challenge as well. I'm still working on like another follow-up video on surveillance because I wanted to look at other products out there. But yeah, the trying to get information on companies when you're not a reseller for them turns out to be really hard. Does UniFi support one-to-one NAT and static IP, WAN IP blocks? I remember they did not for a long time, so I was stuck on pfSense in those cases. I believe that is supported now. I'd have to look, but I think that is a feature they've added. Hey, awesome. Sent some gift memberships. Much appreciated. Someone says, yes, they do. I thought they did add a lot of the one-to-one NAT features. I really haven't, I don't use them, and I haven't had anyone ask about them. I mean, they used to ask on pfSense. It seems like, because I did some consulting with someone who had a bunch of pfSense stuff in a data center. They were using all those features, but that's what they were hosting a lot of things in a data center behind pfSense. I don't know that I see as many people hosting things in data centers yet behind a UniFi system, but I imagine that's coming because one of the things that UniFi's done a nice job on is their high availability is so smooth, the updates and everything for it, and it's so inexpensive compared to other systems, including pfSense. The update process, like mine's been on high availability since about a year now. I think I did it, maybe I did it in January. It's almost a year of high availability, and I've had no issues at all. It's updated every single time without fail. Matter of fact, even when I update the primary one and it reboots, there's just a small blip because the HA system takes over while you're updating one for the other. I mean, that's just nice. Oh, the old system was better at sending money. I wonder why it doesn't let you. I thought you could do super chat. Does it not show the super chat? I don't know. I don't participate in many other live streams other than my own. Yeah, UniFi is using pretty common tools underneath, but I'm feeling confident that any changes you make will probably be overwritten. I had a few people ask me about that, about customizing UniFi with this script or that script. I'm like, I cannot guarantee the survivability of these scripts. Like, they may work for now. Will they work? Nah, I don't know if they'll work after an update. That's where will they work over time? All right, so for some reason, it's not showing people the ability to see. I see it on mine, but of course, I'm the admin. You guys can see it right here. Super chat. Can I send myself money? How does that work? I will look at that for the next live stream to see what needs to be fixed. Does HA and pfSense support dynamic DHCP WAN IP addresses? No. pfSense still needs to have static IP on WAN in order to work. Okay, so you can see the super chat. You can't afford the super chat. All right. You can send yourself money, but you lose 30% each time. That sounds right. So you lose a little each time. Which Linux distro am I using? I moved back over to Pop! OS, the latest version of it. Cosmic Desktop. I'm happy with it. It works well. No complaints. I'm my biggest fan. I should send myself a whole lot of money. Well, technically, I'd be sent, like someone pointed out, I'd be giving a cut of my money to giving a cut of theirs. So as much as I might like myself, can you just type a number in? Ooh. Ooh. Oh, there's a limit. That's the limit. That's funny. All right, enough of that. Enough of that. Oh, there's a new Pop! OS releasing. Yeah, I was waiting for. I'm gonna. That's one of the things I'm gonna do is up my laptop. So if it's on the new release, that's kind of exciting. I knew it was coming out in December, was like to go to full release because I know it's a beta. So I'm excited about that. I've been happy with it though. The system works great. I've actually been gaming on it. So the Linux gaming definitely working better than expected, and yeah, it's been solid. Oh, if you have multiple instance Immich, you can assign the machine learning ports to one of them, even if they're on different machines. Yeah, that's just the machine learning. I thought you meant you could cluster image in some way, because I mean you can point it to an external machine learning server too. Verification can see the super chat option. Is this the official release for Pop? I think that's what they're going to be doing, is an official release. I'm assuming. I don't know. I did that wrong. I'm trying to drag another window over here. We're going to drag Joplin away. I am doing an updated video on this topic as well, because this is fun. I have the new AI key, and I like that it can do this. It can transcribe the videos. So it heard my wife coming out here to get stuff off the packages, but yeah, it can transcribe what she's saying. So I thought that was kind of cool. This is part of the new AI key feature. So is this. This is not a special. Let me play a little more so it's easier to see. So you can identify people better. You can do this and have it kind of do a cool like enhance to see things. Kind of novel. So actually, let's go to the garage. can enhance. It can enhance the people. It's got this, I got to play with how it all works, but it's a way to enhance and then find if that person has other results. The re-ID result found, will it find this person or this person elsewhere? Only in this camera, and I've narrowed it down to this camera, so the answer is no. But these are some new features that UniFi's got that I'm going to be doing an updated video on. Their camera system is just really cool. The default download for Pop! OS is 24 now. That's awesome. Did any of your Linux laptop can match the MacBook battery? No, not at all. Not even in the same game. Sorry. The Mac laptop, I have a MacBook Air, and I wish I could. I can't even point you at something twice as expensive that lasts as long as a MacBook Air in terms of battery. Besides the cost per terabyte, are there any specific considerations when focusing on the growing capacity in Homelab versus traditional spinning Rust? No, it's just cost. I mean, if you can afford SSDs, awesome. But the only reason people don't buy all SSD systems is because they're expensive. You're making a jump from Synology to TrueNAS, all the parts in a server come tomorrow. Fantastic. Hopefully you got a deal on memory before memory prices, well, got bad. The MacBook Air was on sale for $750 on Black Friday. Interesting. Yeah, the MacBook Air is, I hate to say it, it's just so inexpensive for some of the basic models. I just don't like typing on my phone. So my MacBook Air, more than anything else, is that. It's a way for me to reply. I reply to a lot of emails and a lot of messages. The MacBook Air is, the nice tiny little laptop that sits on my coffee table that I see a message, pops up on my watch usually, like, oh, someone emailed me. Open up there, have my coffee, send all the emails and reply to everybody that needs an email back. And it just works. I'm not really using a MacBook Air for much more than that, but it does a great job. Do you have a video explaining how to safely add MVR network and access VLANs and Tailscale? I have a video about hardening networks for cameras and MVRs. You can kind of extrapolate from there. Like I say how to lock down that network, but adding Tailscale or some VPN to that network is an easy way to access it. Yes, the MacBook Air uses passive cooling. Yeah, bad is the correct term for pricing on this. Yes. Signal's my go-to. That's where all of my conversations for the most part happen. It's my favorite secure messaging tool. Been around for a while, really happy with it. I want the tiny footprint and low power, pure NVMe NAS. You're probably wrong about the power. NVMe's and SSDs use more power than you might expect. Yeah, I got your 32 gigs for 124, and today it's 409. You could resell it. That's a lot. Yeah, I mean, that is the challenge. I mean, I can't show my signal, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18, 27. Oh man, this scrolls forever. I'm just looking at all the people I've talked to in the last month. There's a lot of them, some are group chats, but there's 30 different people that I'm carrying on a conversation with on Signal. So yeah, most normal people end up using WhatsApp. Nothing I can really do. It's one of those is what it is type things. I wish more people would use it. It's not easy to get people to change off what they do. I even have techie friends. I have one of them that just prefers to use Facebook Messenger. That's the only way he prefers to talk to people. He doesn't respond to texts. He has a voicemail that's full. He doesn't like phone calls. He prefers Facebook Messenger. Whatever. You have one coworker on Signal. I have a lot of friends on Signal, a lot of group chats I belong to, but it's the world I'm in. Currently looking for a way to make TrueNAS system read your SD card and dumping all the files in a folder automatically, a tutorial. I'm not likely to do that because I never plug drives in my TrueNAS. I mean, it would be completely command line driven. It would be a tutorial on how to do the command line, which not many people would want to do because you would just like, all right, copy these files to this place via the command line. And most people wouldn't, I don't imagine that's a good tutorial. Hopefully that makes sense. You don't even have a Facebook, and I would probably, I've still considered deleting my Facebook. I don't really use it. I post once in a while. I used to post more years ago. I don't post much anymore. It's just a place where people argue about dumb things. I was just looking because I noticed that my garage was closed. My wife left. So I was like, why is the garage closing? Seen her. I dragged this over. I'm distracted by things. There's the wife leaving. There's me and my son coming back with KFC. I don't know who's got the blue shirt. Oh, the UPS person. Or Amazon. All right, I'm done being distracted. Back. The amount of AI products, BS content, Facebook may consider deleting my account. Oh, yeah. The LinkedIn's not much better. LinkedIn's full of garbage. Facebook's full of garbage. I actually like the fact that I'm in a lot more group chats, and I'm happier because I have a group chat for different topics that me and my friends like to converse about. So it's been kind of nice. I feel like we're going back to that. It makes me really happy that I have a group chat where people just chat about things. Occasionally I'm on Discord, and not often, but once in a while I have a couple of friends that have their own Discord. So I'll jump in there and just chat with them about whatever. Oh man, there is, speaking of squirrels, see, someone said squirrel, and I got to bring this up. Because, let's go here. Animal. Buttons right there. My UniFi mostly picks up squirrels. I gotta admit, this does kind of look like a squirrel, but that's not a squirrel. Sometimes it gets things wrong. It's only 88% chance that this moving leaf is a squirrel. Back to AI being non-deterministic. I like that when my wife lights up her yard things, it goes, look, light up animals. But yes, there's definitely squirrels. There's a cat. There's the cat that wanders around. There's another cat sitting right there. There's that same cat up on the porch. Oh, this raccoon. Is he It's a big raccoon, isn't it? So I got this guy too. Scan the object. There we go. It's a pretty big raccoon. I'm wandering off topic. I want to start a live streaming channel on YouTube that will be a camera out in the woods. Is there something I need to know that most of us not think of? I don't know. It's got to, I mean, people watch YouTube channels because they're interesting, and maybe out in the woods is interesting where you are. I don't know. I don't know what the audience is like for out in the woods. Do you need an AI key for all those cameras? No, you can use one AI key for all of it. So we go to devices. I just have one AI key. Now, I have another site where we're setting up two AI keys because there's so many detections, the AI key gets overloaded. So that's part of my updated video I'm working on. It's going to be having two AI keys. So one AI key, oh yeah, it's not overloading it. And the AI key is awesome. Yeah, I wish it would. Now, this is something that some systems have and others don't. I hope UniFi adds this, naming the animals. And I say that because you can do things like in some systems, I can't remember which one supports this, you can name the dog and it recognizes the dog as it does a person. So I think that's kind of, probably the cat too. What's the threshold for overloading an AI key? I think I gotta look up the numbers, but it's detections per hour. If all the cameras, you can have 100 cameras, but if those 100 cameras have detections all at the same time, the overloading of the AI key will occur. It's not that it overloads it as in it never gets it done. It just can only process detections at a certain speed. So it will eventually catch up to the detections. It's about, is there so many detections that you're upset with how slow they are? That's the fuzzy nuance with the AI key system. Okay, I would say it's on their site. It's 1,800 smart detections an hour. But if there's too many in a short period of time, the system gets behind. It doesn't miss them. It just puts them in a queue and it queues them up to get them done later. So that's really the challenge with the AI key, is how fast can it do those detections? Pretty neat though that it does it. I mean, it's a really slick system. And they stack. If you put more than one AI key on, you get the functionality of all of them on there. Matter of fact, because of a project I'm working on, I have a couple AI keys. So I wanted to do the back catalog of videos that I had. So when I plugged the AI key in, it went ahead and processed all the back catalog. So I plugged in two AI keys and it did it really fast. It went through all my videos and processed all the old ones. What about the cameras with the AI built in? The AI built in is nice, but it's not the same as what the AI key does. The AI key goes beyond what the ones with AI built in do. That's where it gets like there's some nuance there. Like the AI turret does a great job of recognizing people, better face enhancement, blah, 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 but it doesn't do transcription. Versus with the AI key, you have these other features such as transcript. You don't get transcript without the AI key. If that makes sense. Yeah, like I said, the AI key to me is just a really cool new feature. It's not cheap, but compared to what it's got so much functionality, and compared to what a lot of these companies offer in terms of functionality with the MVR, it's pretty impressive. It's most of these companies want to charge you a subscription for it. That's the part that's kind of wild, is how much they charge for a lot of these systems versus UniFi is like, yeah, you can have this without license fees or anything else. That's why, I brought it before. I was trying to research like a good MVR system. I found it hard to compete with UniFi because all these other companies are either substantially more expensive or have a license fee that's recurring. So some of them do offer non-recurring fees, but the upfront fee is pretty substantial. Is the AI like on your own site? Yeah, I mean, everything is recognized locally here, but sometimes this works good, sometimes it doesn't. This is where the hit and miss is with the AI key, is when you're looking for an object. I don't know. Let me type in, and it may not find anything here. Yeah, I know it should, in theory, see a package. You think it would recognize the Amazon person, but it doesn't seem to find the Amazon. No green shirt for some reason, but which is also strange because I think we can do this. Reload the page. If you type in too many things at once, I've had to reload the page. So clear. There we go. But we can say, oh, actually, maybe it's yellow. Oh, so if I type in yellow, it'd probably find it. So we know there's at least someone wearing yellow. So let's go here, here. Hey, it found the yellow shirt. It's tracking the yellow shirt. So, okay, that did work. I guess it didn't find the other color. It was another MVR I was looking at that had the different colors on it. Who was wearing purple? Oh, that guy. Apparently me. I guess it doesn't recognize that as a package, like in the terms of the AI. But, whatever. Nothing's perfect. What else can we find? Does it find motorcycles? Yes, it does. Ah, look. There's me cleaning off the motorcycles. So it's able to find some things. There's me. So, yes, that, yep, Vespa. Tom riding the Vespa. All right, I'm way off topic. I'm just squirreled. Let's see. Oh, you're a model train person. You're intrigued by Railstream. Awesome. Can it see hummingbirds? I don't know. UniFi is having a holiday sale. This is true. Have you ever thought about supporting fast mail for clients? Not necessarily. I don't think there's enough people asking for it. Yes, I have a couple. I have a Vespa and a Piaggio, so I have 2 Italian scooters. Can you recommend modems for 5G failover? Not really. I don't have any particular one I like. I mean, UniFi now makes some of them, so that's, you can look at the UniFi stuff. The UniFi ones work fine, but if you don't like UniFi, there's Peplink and a few other companies. I don't have any like particular one I think is amazing. Let me pull something up though. I still got to work on the video for Railstream, but if I seen someone mention they like trains, but yeah, these are the some of the train sets that's related to Railstream as well. I'm going to do different videos on this, but I'll use some of the B-roll I have from the trains themselves, because this is all at the same place. So some of this is Railstream, which I'm working on the video for, and then some of these other things are also Railstream. This is also Railstream. So yes, lots of train stuff to talk about. No, they're not my trains. These are my friend's trains. I think there's some invalid detection stuff you can do. I think it submits it to them. Yeah, GLINet makes travel routers as well for the 4G, 5G as well. Yeah, the train people is all a unique bunch for sure. Lots of interesting people in that, sir. And it's a lot of people that are really into trains. So it's my friend Mike is quite into it. He's the one that runs rail streams. So I am not into trains myself. I like watching videos about trains. I just don't collect things. I don't really collect many things besides motorcycles. And I don't really collect them. I just happen to have a couple of them because I don't know which one I want to ride. So they're back to the where'd it go? If you're looking in my garage, you'll see there's a few motorcycles over here. So I have several motorcycles. Where's the garage? Looks better in color. But yeah, you'll see I have a few motorcycles in here. So, but I'm not really a train person. Got my Honda, got a few others. But anyways, I'm easily distracted and brought off topic, right? So I'm getting tired. Off topic, but I put 22,000 miles on my Honda Gram in 3 years. Awesome. Oh, you did Tail the Dragon. Awesome. They do the mini moto thing for the Dragon as well. I want to do that in 2020. I want to do that next year. They do a whole mini moto or the small bore meetup for that. So I collect tech sometimes. Yeah, the way the UniFi AI key uses the cameras for detection and classifies and tags the video with metadata and searching. Yes. You're on the bike collection train. We'll go with that. What would I have no use case for a 1 terabyte system with 96 cores. So I don't have any specific thing. I mean, assign all 96 cores to make my Immich import go faster. I don't have any data intensive use cases. So I don't really have an answer. It comes down to what do you want to do with it? What is the thing that would make you happy? And I don't know what that is. For me, it's just I don't have much compute needs on my day-to-day basis. Like my most intense compute thing I had to do was import all my stuff into Immich. I assigned a bunch of cores to it to get that done. On a daily basis or for my production video use, I am using, as people have noted a couple times here, a Mac because it's great at using DaVinci Resolve for editing. So all my need for that is here on this particular Mac M4 Studio for video editing. So yeah, I mean, video encoding. Yeah, I don't do any video. I don't have to really transcode my videos, but if you did, I guess that would be a way to do it. But generally you want to put those on GPU, not CPU. Oh yeah. I'm not going to say that out loud, Eric. I'm just going to throw it out there. I feel like I could get in trouble. I do watch a lot of videos on how trains work and things like that. There's a lot of good engineering videos that just become stuff to get lost in. That's neat. I love engineering and science in general. So when I'm not playing with technology in a very direct basis, I like engineering and science YouTube. So there's always different things I'll watch. – 96 cores to heat the home. We can go with that. Oh, someone said, is there a lot of snow? Yeah, I mean, I don't know about a lot, but that's all snow in my backyard. So there's not, you're kind of seeing the leaves poke through. It all melted yesterday because it got warm and rained. So a lot of the snow melted. That's actually like ice now. And we're supposed to get, I think we're getting a little bit more snow, but yeah, not much. You can see where it's like mostly gone in my front yard, but it's all frozen again because it's going down to like 8 degrees. It's really weird how UniFi has a hard time seeing that. Still a little bit of snow here. It's just a dusting, yes. It's not like a lot of snow. You got a foot of snow. Are you 8 hours north of me, I'm assuming then? Okay, so I got more weather coming tomorrow. Fun times. Fun times. All right. Well, I'm wandering around off topic. I'm going to go play some video games and relax. That's my next task. Well, first, because I'm playing video games on my Pop! OS system, I'm going to update that system. Back over here. So, all right. So I'm firing up this laptop, but don't really have any way to get this laptop. This is my framework, which, by the way, apparently someone was telling me of how much they hate framework and going on about them. And I'm definitely someone, and I said this in each one of my framework review videos, I'm someone who supports the cause. I want more laptops like this to exist. And it's definitely a niche laptop, but it's still really cool. I still certainly like the framework laptop, and it's a product I really enjoy. I like the kind of purple on it too. Someone pointed this out, and I did not know this. I guess Linus chose this same D-brand skin for some of his stuff. So I didn't choose it because of Linus. It was through all of you. I learned Linus was using this apparently. But it's this is just a D-brand skin, which I like D-brand a lot. I actually have skinned all my laptops with the same one, even my MacBooks, because why not? And I carry. That's the thing. I see people saying, "Do you carry it by the corner?" Yes. I walk around sometimes on my laptop like this. I am probably a disaster waiting to happen. But that's all right. It's already got a bend in it from. This is. Thanks to the TSA over here, looking at it backwards. It is a little bent. That's the thing. It's a little bend in it. You kind of see it. That happened. Anyways, thanks all for joining. This is a great time. Well, maybe I'll do it again on Sunday. I'm going to do some more live streams. It's on my to-do list, especially because it's winter. If it snows a lot, I don't want to go out there and deal with the snow. So I will probably hang out with all of you, but I will be recording and hopefully publishing the N8N start of some N8N videos. I have several of them, but I got to do the getting started video to cover the basics of how I set it up, because that'll be a question that's very popular, especially because the 2.0 version is out. So my N8N getting started video hopefully should be finished tomorrow. Then immediately I'll start recording because there's some tweaking we're still doing, but I'll be covering the TrueNAS integrations. That's the first videos I'll be doing because I got those ones done. But there's several other things I'm doing in N8N that might be interesting. So there's a lot more videos that I'll have getting out there, being published, and like and subscribe to see all that stuff. If you're interested in what games I'm playing, you can connect with me on Steam. It's on my website at the bottom. I learned if you are overly aggressive with your privacy settings, apparently it doesn't show social media links. Someone said they couldn't find them, and that turns out why they couldn't find them is if you are using uBlock, for example, and you set it aggressive. I don't know why it eliminates social media links that are on my website, which includes Steam. It deletes that one. So if you want to connect with me, go to my website and go to the bottom and turn off if you're blocking everything, and you can see and connect with me on social media. All right. Thanks, everyone, and take care. Actually, I got to find the end stream button now. There we go.